Hey, so we are back, and this episode is not going to be a game episode. Instead, it's going to be another special episode, and I'll get into that in a minute. Real quick, some stuff coming up. Let's see. I saw earlier that Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman called a truce in their social media war. I guess that's a thing. I don't know. I hadn't really seen or heard much about it, let alone paid any actual attention to it. But they did a little thing where they produced commercials for each other's businesses, and that was pretty fucking funny. So, I saw that on Twitter. You should be able to find that pretty easily, I would imagine. And, yeah, give it a watch. It was fun. And, Neil Gaiman had tweeted a photograph of John Hamm as the angel Gabriel in the Good Omens series that is coming out soon, I want to say. I forget when exactly. And my stupid ass, of course, did not look it up. But he looked good. I'm so excited for that. I cannot wait. It's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm going to have to get the Showtime app. I think Good Omens is going to be on Showtime. I can't remember now, because again, didn't look it up like I should have. Anyway, today being, yesterday now, I guess, it's the 10th anniversary of the film Coraline. Whilst I'm talking about Neil Gaiman. So I think I'm going to have to actually watch that movie now. Because, when it came out, I had other stuff going on, and I was not so much interested in it. But now, knowing what I do about it, it seems far more interesting, and I need to give that a shot. So, I was thinking about putting it on when I go to bed tonight, rather this morning. Because I'm, of course, recording this at 1:30 in the goddamn morning. But we'll see. Okay. So that's all of that. I'm watching Runaways again right now on Hulu. So, it's been so long since I've watched the first season. I'm watching that before I jump into season 2. Which has looked pretty interesting to me, and I don't recall so much of season 1, so I'm watching that to refresh my memory. And I'm enjoying it. I liked it when I first watched it. I didn't expect to like it any less this time. But it's good stuff. If you haven't watched it yet, give it a shot. It'll be fun. What else am I watching? Excuse me. I started watching Archer again. I put it on the other night so that I'd have something on when I was trying to get to sleep. So, I of course did that the night before last, so I'm on season 5 now. God damn it, I am sleepy. Alright. Okay. I'm gonna go through the Facebook stuff real quick. Oh, shit. I did have it open and ready to go. Alright. So, Facebook-wise, there's nothing going on today, being Thursday, February 7th. And tomorrow, being Friday, February 8th, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., John Williams and Circle SLC Public Grand Opening. The hell is that? Let's see. Oh. Okay, so Encircle is a LGBT plus family and youth resource center, and that is opening this weekend. So yeah, go and support that. That will be in Salt Lake City, 331 South, 600 East. Sounds like it's a good thing for a good cause. And that is, that cause being, not being an asshole to other human beings. It's pretty much everything that churches don't stand for anymore. And yes, there's your political comment from Tim tonight. Alright, 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., First People's Basement Open Mic. I'm not sure what this place is. Oh, the People's Coffee. Okay. So yeah, it looks like this is going to be the replacement for the Dida Cafe open mic that we recently lost. And it's going to be hosted by Brian Nicholas Earl. And yeah, I would like to go to that, but I will be recording that night, so I'm not going to make it. But maybe, I don't know how the timing is going to work out with that one, whether that mic is going to be weekly or bi-weekly like the Dida mic was. We'll see. And that same night at 8 p.m., the Ice House in Murray, Greg Kite is headlining. And it looks like it will be featuring Ryan Irwin, Pete Suval, Andy Farnsworth, and of course Greg Kite headlining, with Holly J hosting. So, I have seen most of those comics perform, and that's going to be a good show. And another open mic, 9 p.m. to 11 p.m. And that'll be the Anything Goes open mic with Six, or Skix. I don't know how they want that pronounced. Says Anything Goes. I'm guessing that is going to be a multimedia open mic. So, says here crooning, slide whistling, sock puppeting, balleting. Yeah. Anything you can do under 10 minutes. And as long as it doesn't involve flames and nudity, and you can clean it up after yourself and isn't like racist or anything like that, then the sky's the limit. And that will be... where is that? It says here 25 South Rio Grande in Salt Lake. So, yeah. I don't know exactly what that venue is, or if there is a venue. Could just be on the corner of the street for all I know. And then Hectic Hobo, live at the Ice House in Murray again. That'll be after the comedy show. It says here 10 p.m. to 1 a.m. I'm not familiar with Hectic Hobo. I imagine that'll be a fun show. $5 cover, 21 plus, because it's at a bar. American folk rock and roll band, electric guitar, piano, organ, bass and drums. Alright. So yeah, should be fun for you. We'll see. Saturday, February 9th, Maria Bamford is doing stand-up live in Phoenix, 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. So, if you're in the area, you should go check out Stand Up Live, Phoenix. Because she is always great. She's one of my heroes. And let's see here. Sunday, February 10th, we have the Watchtower open mic, 6:30 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. It's hosted by my friends Jason and Natasha, and it is going to be fun, regardless. Nah, it's always fun. Yeah, I need to get off my ass and make it out to open mics more. Maybe get all of my other shit together so that I'm not having to record this nonsense at 1 o'clock in the goddamn morning. Let's see. Monday, February 11th. It's my sister's birthday, my friend Donovan's birthday. So if you guys hear this, happy birthday or whatever. And we've got Comedy Cocktail at Lake Effect, Salt Lake City, Utah. It's an event hosted by Brandon Henderson. Let's see. Come wearing your classiest suit or cocktail dress and be entered to win a gift card to Lake Effect. Tickets at the door. Show in the rabbit hole. Should check that out, because I like wearing my suit for no reason. And it would be nice to have a reason to wear my suit once in a while. And Lake Effect is going to be located at 155 West, 200 South in Salt Lake City. Yeah, I should definitely check that out. And I'll cover that in a moment. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, that's all of the Facebook stuff. So now, I'm going to pull up the Wise Guys bills for the next week. Alright. So, tonight, being Thursday, February 7th, Michael Q is headlining Wise Guys Downtown. And let's see if... I can't remember. So yeah, one show at 7:30, $20. Looks like it's not sold out yet, so you've still got time to get in on that. And then Ron Funches is going to be headlining Wise Guys Downtown, February 8th and 9th. And 2 shows each of those nights, 7 p.m., 9:30 p.m., $20 each. None of those are sold out. And goddamn, I'm so pissed I forgot that was this weekend. I'd already scheduled our recording session, and we should have poker going on Saturday night. Otherwise, I would be all over that. And then headlining Jordan Landing, February 8th and 9th. We've got Tyler Boe, Boeh. I'm not sure how he pronounces it. I'm not familiar with him. And yeah, he'll have one show each night at 8 p.m., $15. You're still good to get in on that show too. And headlining Wise Guys Ogden is Steve Solberg, who's a very funny local comedian. And he's a super nice guy. You should definitely go and support him. And he's doing one show each night at 8 p.m., $12. And let's see here. February 10th, Todd Berry is doing one show, Wise Guys Downtown. $20 to get in on that. And, I don't know. I really need to go to the open mic that night, I think. I need to actually sit down and go over my fucking jokes. It's been so long now. I think I may try to sneak over there for Todd Berry too, because he's a very funny comedian. But yeah, 7 p.m. for that show, $20. Tickets are still available. And February 12th, Crowdsourced Comedy is doing a show at Wise Guys Downtown at 7:30. $5 for that. That's a fun show. I need to go to those. I hate not supporting my friends. I've got some friends who are in the improv group there, and other friends who often do the stand-up portion of that show as well. And let's see here. Of course, the open mic at Wise Guys on Wednesdays. But that same Wednesday, February 13th, Big Steve Parrish. Let's see what this is. Yeah, I'm not familiar with Steve Parrish. But he's doing one show, 7 p.m., $25 for that ticket. And it is still available for you to get in there. So you should do that. And, oh fuck, a lot of great shows coming up over the next few weeks. But I'll talk about that next time. Alright, so this episode is going to be a special episode in that it's not a regular game episode, and I had an opportunity to talk with John Horsley, or Horsley, I forget. He is an independent comics creator who is he put together a book, but he currently has a Kickstarter going to fund the publication of it. Started on the 1st of February, scheduled to run for 30 days. So that'll probably go until, March 2nd or 3rd. And I'm going to refresh this page real quick to see if these numbers have changed at all. Because I had a little bit of trouble finding it on Kickstarter's website. But I did. So, you want to look for either his name, Horsley, Horsley. That was how I eventually found the Kickstarter page I was looking for. And it's going to be the Eynes Anthology, Book 1. And Eynes is spelled Eynes. And it's going to be a horror supernatural comic. So I had a chance to look over the sample that he sent me, and then I called him up one day and we just chatted for a little while about it, and then some other things towards the end. But he's a super nice guy. The book is interesting, just wonderful art and everything that I saw so far. So I am super excited for that book to come out. And you can, they've got a number of different levels for you to support. So definitely jump on the Kickstarter page, take a look at that. And you don't necessarily need to rush, because I want to be sure that I have to wait until after payday so that I can see whether I can support at the level I want to get the stuff that I want. But I'm definitely going to chip in on this. And according to these numbers, it was something like 58% funded already. And there are 26 days left to go. So yeah, you've got some time, not a lot. Be sure you kick in for this, because it's going to be a great book. And one of the things I really enjoy most about this is how cool of a guy John Horsley is. He made sure that everyone was paid for their creative work before the Kickstarter. So the artists and writers, and they've all been paid for their work already. So this Kickstarter is just to get all of the publishing done and to actually get the books sent out. And he explained how he did all that in in my interview with him. So yeah, seems like a cool guy. And like I said, this is going to be a spectacular graphic novel. And like I said, I am going to support it as soon as I get money with which to support it. And I want it to catch on because he's got plans for book 2 already. And they're going to start, if they haven't started already, writing and arting and such, they're going to be doing that soon. And I want that book too. So you guys need to start chipping in and getting this book done so that all of the creative teams are a little more encouraged to get that second book put together. So, yeah, I know. I wanted to support it, but I think the level that I'm going to be supporting it is going to be far higher than I originally planned, because the higher tiers, you get some of the original art also. And yeah, they're actually offering art from one of the stories that I like the most. So I would say which one that is, but I don't want you bastards taking it all from me before I have a chance to get in there. So again, Kickstarter.com. You can search for John Horsley or the Eynes Anthology. Eynes, again, spelled Eynes. And, yeah, they've got some of the pages up there so you can see just how great this art is. And, yeah, I can't wait. So, yeah, go check that out. And then, let's see. As long as you're giving people your money, feel free to check out our Patreon page. Patreon.com/ComedyShedRadio, I believe is what I put that on. And, yeah. I was talking with the guys about playing other games for us to put up on the Patreon page as bonus content. I've got plans for some Marvel superheroes games that I want to do. And Lauren is working out a game. I don't know what game or what system it is. But yeah, we've got some stuff coming up. And my plan is to record more of that. Well, record that stuff. Not this weekend, because we're playing World of Darkness this weekend. And then the following weekend, Caleb is going to be out of town or something. I forget what. So, the weekend after that, I think we're going to play some other games. And again, put that content up on the Patreon page. So, as soon as I figure out how Patreon works, we're going to put that out there. And again, there are some things on the Patreon page already you could do. Like I said, I'm still trying to work out exactly how that works. And I'm reaching out to people who are experienced with that and hoping that they've got the time or the desire to help me not fuck it up. So we'll see. Chances are I'll be fucking up a lot of things. This is how that works out. But, speaking of fucking up, I have not been on the website lately. I will remedy that soon, because last week there was a special private screening of Alita Battle Angel. Justin and I made it to that. So, he and I will probably be talking about our thoughts on that movie this weekend. Or, yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's going to come up during our game time. I'll try and I'll try and get that conversation done with him before we start playing. And I started writing up my review to post on the website. And I just got lazy and distracted with work stuff and all that, so my plan is to finally finish writing that and put it up on the website tomorrow. And yeah. But I'm going to start being better with the website, I swear. I'm just so lazy and tired. And it's hard to think of stuff to write, guys. I don't know if you tried it. But, yeah. I used to journal a lot. You'd think I'd, be a little more experienced with just bullshitting. But, no. I'll get back there. Soon. I promise. But, yeah. Website, commyshitradio.com. As always. Feel free to go and check it out. And, you can contact us through the contact page on there. You can either email us through the little email thing on the page, or you may text or voicemail the Comedy Shed Radio hotline, 801-900-3154. Then, of course, there's the Facebook and Twitter stuff, which I goof around more on that shit than anything else. But we'll see. Anyway. So yeah, I think that's going to do it now. And yeah, like I said, the Eynes Anthology. Get ready to check it out and go help kickstart it so that we can get that done and again, get more of those books. Because it's going to be a fun story. Well, many fun stories that are connected, but not necessarily entirely. Yeah, anyway, like I said, he and I are about to talk about that, so you can listen to that, and yeah, have a good night. So you can hear me, right?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, great. All right. Well, I'm Tim Flood, and yeah, my first question: what exactly is the preferred pronunciation of this? Is it Eynes?
Eynes.
Eynes. Oh, okay.
Eynes, like I with an N in it.
Got it. Sounds good.
I don't know if that's the actual proper way to pronounce that name, but that's the way that I've been pronouncing it for 2 years, so I'm going with it.
Well, you wrote it, so you kind of have final say there, at least in this regard. So.
I hope so.
All right. So, yeah, do you want to just, briefly describe the stories here? And
Sure. So the Eynes Anthology, what it is, it's a new take on anthology series. Because a lot of times you get to an anthology and it's a collection of short stories by various creative teams that revolve around a similar theme. Like there's horror anthologies, there's comedy anthologies, stuff like that, but they don't really have any connection to them, right? There's no real connection throughout the story. There's no larger story being told. And that's not true for all, but there are most of them that come out are like that. And that's fine. I love anthology. I love reading stories from various creators. It's a lot of fun. But I decided a couple of years ago that I wanted to try and do something a little bit differently. I wanted to create an anthology of short stories, but one that told an overall bigger story while you consume shorter stories. I wanted to be able to work within a framework of a family because I'm a father of 5, married with 5 kids, and family is a pretty important thing to me. And I was like, you know what? Let's tell a horror story that's built around a family with supernaturals and monsters, and, all the scary stuff in the world, but have it built with the family throughout time. So what I did to start this whole thing out is I created, obviously, the name Eynes, excuse me, and then I created a family tree. I figured let's create the history real quick. well, by real quick, I mean like a month or two of creating 250 characters with birth dates and death dates for about 600 years in time frame. So I created this really large family tree of, brothers, sisters, grandpas, grandmas, uncles, everything you can imagine, starting in current times, going forward about 100 years, and then dating back to about 1450, somewhere in that range. And then once I had all of that in place, I created what I called the Eynes Bible information, right? Like, what is this world? And basically what the world is there's this family called the Eynes that before recorded time, they have been cursed with being attuned or being attracted to elements of the supernatural, whether it be occultism, whether it be witches, be demons, be werewolves or vampires, or any kind of monster. They have like a second sense and are aware of that around them, unlike anybody else. And in this same world, the monsters, which is a blanket term I use for anything that's supernatural in the world, they are attracted to the Eynes. They are very much aware of this family. They're aware of where the members of this family are at. Not necessarily like exact locations, but like if they're in the same city or the same town, they're like, oh, there's an Eynes in this town. They got to figure out what's going on. Okay. And I also wanted to attack it from a perspective of not everything is black and white, because the world's not black and white, and just because you're part of a family doesn't mean you're good or bad. So one of the approaches I did with the writers was to make sure that, while overall in the big picture, the Eynes are the good guys, the monsters are the bad guys, that's not necessarily true in every story. And I gave our writers, which I'll talk about how I got the writers in a minute, I gave the writers the freedom to tell the story they wanted to tell within the constricts of the universe. To where if they wanted to tell a story where the Eynes was the bad guy, then that's great. Let's work it into the world. Let's make it work. Let's get the characters that work for that, and let's make it work in the time frame, the time span that you're writing into. I also gave all the writers freedom to tell any kind of story they wanted to do. I didn't tell them they had to write just a horror slasher story. I said, if you want to write a crazy mess with your mind story, we'll go that route. If you want to write something a little more comedy horror, we can work that in, because I wanted to get a very eclectic world view and types of stories into the book. So this goes to where I brought in the writers. I brought in about 25 writers to write this book with me. I'm a writer myself. I'm an artist myself. I've done books start to finish of just my stuff before, but for this I really wanted to collaborate. I wanted to tell this world. It was bigger than me. It was more than I could do on my own. So first thing I did was bring in the writers, right? And the writers and I crafted this world. We created these characters. We created these characters based upon what I had made. We crafted the monsters based around what I had been working on, and we started having the writers, work on various stories throughout time. And what I told them was, pick a time frame or time period you want to write in. Any time in the last 600 years, you can even go into the future, and let's figure out what characters work for that, and kind of make your story fit into there. So, that was 2 years ago, a year and a half ago, working on all the writing stuff, and then getting all the stories in, all the scripts in, and kind of going through the scripts, reading through the ones. Okay, this one's really good. This one's a good setup piece. This one's a good ending piece. Kind of figuring out where those all fit within the qualms of telling a story in the book. Because throughout this whole time, I had in my head an overall vision for the book, for a story that I have written out that's going to, in between or around these short stories, which tell moments in time, it's going to tell a bigger picture story, which is going to be built in and weaved through these shorter stories. But also, like, the whole idea is you can read one story, get a story, or you can read the whole book and get multiple stories and one big story as well. So that was the big challenge within that. So that's kind of like a long-winded answer and giving you more information than what you asked about what the book is. So
no, that's great. Yeah, there's nothing wrong with more information. Yeah. So, yeah.
I can talk about this book all day. I've been working on it for 2 years.
I'll bet. Yeah, it was kind of funny because I was actually trying to do kind of a similar thing on my podcast that we were going to do as bonus content.
Oh, nice.
Where it would be an anthology of, supernatural and unexplained happenings, and then yeah, like literally 2 weeks I saw your post. It's like, oh, all right, that's cool too. But yeah,
that's cool.
Yeah, I dig a lot of the art in here too, and I'm trying to pull it up on my other iPad right now, and it is not cooperating. All right, there we go.
Yeah, I was very lucky to get some of the artists that I got, and the quality of work they were able to do was just amazing.
Yeah, there's one piece that I enjoyed a lot, where I don't know if it was meant to have no dialogue, but the the PDFs you sent me.
If you describe, I can probably tell you which story.
Yeah, I want to say that you did the art for it,
Yeah,
but
the sample I sent you, only some stories had text.
yeah, yeah, but it was all
What was
black
that you
and
said? I'm
white.
sorry.
Oh, sorry. Oh, yeah, it was all in black
Mhm.
and white, and I can't even remember now, and it's taking forever to load up here. But yeah, yeah, the art was fantastic, and I didn't recognize any of the names on there. So, did you? Are these professional artists that you got in touch with, or are they friends and family who happen to do professional level art? And where did you find all the talent for this?
That's a great question. So, originally, my original concept 2 years ago, because I'm kind of a control freak when it comes to my projects, I thought to myself, I'll hire writers and I'll just draw the whole thing myself because I'm an artist and But then getting into it, I'm like, I can't do this. This is too insane.
Yeah.
So I started thinking, okay, who do I trust or who do I know that can help me tell the story? And the first person I contacted, he actually has two stories in the first books because him and I have worked together for years. Is Rick Bugby. He drew the one. If you have the book or look at the sample pages online, he drew the one with the old 1940s detective, and he also drew the one that's like the wizards and the looks like very Lord of the Rings ish. And he's a fantastic artist. And he was the first one that I brought in. And then after that, a lot of it was reaching out to people online, looking on Facebook groups, looking on various artists looking for work pages, and finding people's art who I liked, and then seeing if I could afford them. Right? Because one of the things that was important to me as a creator out of this book, from the get-go, it was stated that everybody who works on this book is going to get paid, and they're going to be paid before the Kickstarter. So when I go to Kickstarter, the only thing we're funding is the printing of the book, not the payment of the creators, because they've already gotten paid. Which is, if you've ever worked in the independent comic world or worked in the Kickstarter world, getting paid up front is great because then you don't have to worry about if the book funds because your part's already taken care of.
Right.
So I spent a lot of time working through people and finding artists that I liked and artists that I could afford because all of the payment for all the writers, all the pencilers, the inkers, the colorists, the letterers, it's all coming out of my own pocket, right? And like I said, I'm married with 5 kids. I've got to budget this out just perfectly to make it work right.
Yeah.
But some of them were just happenstance, like against the Krampus Killer, which was written by my best friends, Ken Regan, and drawn by Scott Godleski, who is the artist on Copperhead. He's drawn Superman, Green Lantern, Batwoman. He does a bunch of DC stuff, and we happened to luck into getting him to draw a story for the book, which was amazing. And we've gotten other artists on there who just there are a lot of them are they've been working in indie comics for a long time, and they've got some amazing work. And then I feel like everybody brought their A game to the art in this book.
Yeah, it's all fantastic, and yeah, I finally got some of the pages pulled up here. So one I did really enjoy is Camelot's Gift, which is the one you mentioned, where it was drawn by Rick
Yes,
Bugby.
there's no text in that story.
Yeah, and I like how this one looks like it was had almost no inks. It was mostly just pencils, and then with some, I've heard some artists describe it as like super pencils or something like that, where they do the penciling so heavy it almost looks like it was inked. But
Right.
yeah,
So Rick's style, he does ink washes. So it actually is ink, but he does ink wash it with a brush and with like water to deaden the ink colors.
oh wow, that's
Yeah,
fantastic.
he's a fantastic artist, and he's actually working on another story for the second book because this is for book one, and it's a 1600 tale that takes place on a boat, and his art is just, I cannot talk about Rick enough because Rick is like the unsung like god of indie comic books that hasn't like gotten a name for himself yet for some reason because he's amazing. I don't understand why he's not a bigger name in indie comics because everything he's ever shown me has been fantastic.
Yeah, I'm definitely a fan now, and I'm excited to see that next story because I've always enjoyed, like the piratey stuff and sailing on the seven seas and all that. So,
Well, I'll tell you what. After we're done, I'll send you a sample page from that so you can take a look at it.
oh, thank you so much. That'd be great. And yeah, there was another one that started to pull up, The Crossed Paths. So that one was written by Joseph S. Pell or Spell.
Yep, out of England. Yep, Joseph S. Pell out of England.
Okay, and then it was drawn by Daniel Biano. That one I really
Yep,
like a
he's out
lot.
of Daniel knocked it out of the park. He's out of South America, and we told him when we gave him the art. So the cross path actually, and it's a very important story in the book. That story itself kind of sets up the lore of the world, right? It kind of, through conversation and through what happens in it, it sets up kind of like, you read that when you get the idea of, oh, this is what the Eynes are about. And when I gave it to Daniel, I was like, hey, this is a very important story, so I really need, this needs to be really good. And he was like, no problem. And he put in that first page, and just the black and whites in it, I was by it so much so my editor and I decided we're not going to color that story. We're going to leave that story black and white because it's just the way he did the contrasting of the colors throughout the whole thing. It just was so beautiful and helps tell that story without the colors. I don't want to ruin it by coloring it,
Oh yeah, yeah. That's the thing that I really enjoy is because I like when black and white art is kind of done in negative space a little bit, where
yeah,
it looks like it was drawn on black with white, and that's
that's exactly
is.
what it looks like.
So yeah. I totally love the art in all of these stories, and the Krampus story was a lot of fun too.
That was cool. There's a funny story behind that story if you want to hear it.
Oh, absolutely.
So on the podcast that I do, which is called Spoiler Country, Kenrick, the guy who wrote that, is my co-host. He's actually my wife's uncle, so we're family. I've been married to my wife for 12 years, and so him and I have been friends for 12 years because of marriage. But we've become like best friends through comics and we have a lot of similar interests. And he's like the hype man for this book. Right? If you hear him talk about it, he's always sounds more excited than me, even though I'm the creator and I'm like super excited about the book. But he always sounds like that hype man on stage for a rap battle,
right?
Which is so cool to see.
Yeah.
But we were talking one day, and he was talking about writing. And he's like, I have a creative writing degree, and I'm like, oh, I didn't know that. And he's like, yeah, I've always wanted to write comic books, and I was like, well, I know it's not much. It's an indie comic that I'm working on, but why don't you write a story in this world? Let's see how it comes out, and if it's good, we'll print it. And he ended up turning that in, and I went through it with my editor, and we're like, we had made some, obviously when you read anything, you make some tweaks to make sure it fits in the story, which I did with every story in this book. But I came back to him, I was like, dude, this is actually really good. This is a really fun little short story. And we were, just able to get his first ever comic script. We ended up getting into this book. He was worried that I was going to reject it because he's like, oh, it's not going to be any good. But it's fun. It gets to the point, and it kind of, it's hard to tell a story in 3 pages when you do comics. It's really hard to tell a story. But since this book doesn't require you to really have a full setup, middle, get over the hump, and then conclusion, it doesn't really require that. This book really lets you just kind of like jump into the middle of something and tell a piece of a story, or tell like just that one section. It bends itself to that really well with the way the book is set up. He was able to tell a 3-page story that gets right into the meat of it and has these beautiful visuals by Scott. And and then the colors by me and the letters by Nikki Powers all together come together, and it's just like I was really impressed how that story came out, because just his writing and then the art from Scott just blew me away.
Yeah, I just like the idea of Santa having been at odds with the Krampus for however long and actually like contracting hitmen to take him out. That was fun for me.
Yep.
So
yeah, that's the whole. It's funny. He's actually writing a sequel to that. More into that kind of quote storyline of Santa and the hitmen and the Krampuses. And I was like, this is a cool concept. This is a cool way to take it on to tackle the whole Santa and Krampus thing, and the whole within a world that allows it.
Yeah, I just want to see the interview process for Santa in like a dark, seedy back room bar someplace, and then like talking to different potential assassins, and just seeing Santa in a bar like that would make me giggle.
I think you give me the idea for an origin story for her.
Sweet.
Santa in a bar with people. That's great. That would be cool to kind of see Santa out of the whole element of which he's him in, but put him into this darker world where he's trying to do good, but it's by dark terms.
Oh yeah, and it would definitely have to take place in like July or something.
Right.
Because you need prep time for a job like that. So
yeah,
but yeah. All right, and so did you work on comics or anything like that before you started this particular project?
Yeah, I did. So back in 2002, I decided that I wanted to get into comics. I was 20 years old. I was in college for art and computers. I was working at a really crappy job at a antique store where I was moving furniture and polishing furniture, and then I convinced them to, like give me a job doing online eBay sales for them. So I would sell their antiques online instead of I was like, I don't want to move and polish furniture anymore. Let me go sit at a desk and post shit for you. So I did that with, and then I was like, you know what? I love comic books. I've loved comic books since I was a kid. I've been reading comic books since I was like 5 years old, and I've been drawing like little comic strips and telling little stories for fun all throughout school. Let's see if I can break into comics. So first things I ever did was I created I started applying webcomic art deals right online, and I ended up picking one up, and then before they launched, I ended up dropping out because I was like, well, I'm not actually ready to do a daily webcomic. I don't quite know what I'm doing with my art yet. Sequential storytelling is much different than just drawing a picture. Like they're both very different art forms.
Right.
That's why you have cover artists and you have sequential artists. It's very different. Not everyone can do both.
Yep.
So I started studying sequential art and how to tell stories and stuff like that. So I launched a webcomic in November of 2003 called Y2CL. And it was basically just a humor comic, a gag, not really a gag a day, because there were some stories that kind of like told over multiple arcs, but it was just a humor-based slice of life comic that I started characters based upon me and my friends, and I went through. It's basically my way for me to make fun of my friends without having to do it directly.
Right.
So I started that, and I did that for several years. Had a decent online following where I was releasing a full page once every couple of days. I was doing like two to three times a week. And then I started branching out, doing other comics, other web comics, more primarily because I was doing pretty well at those. So over the course of from 2003 to 2016, when I stopped doing web comics, I had created and launched 11 different series, and with a couple of people involved with them, but most of them by myself. I did one that was like called Inanimate, which was basically inanimate objects talking and telling jokes, or not really telling jokes, but like jokes in it. Right. I did one called Sergeant Blinking's Brigade of Fantastic, which was basically a single panel shot of like army men, like the toy army men that I would set up in like dioramas and like take a picture of and then make some kind of joke or some kind of story out of one picture.
Okay.
I did one called Furry Animal Magic with my brother-in-law Mike Gordon, who's he did the game Cuphead or like the old Felix the Cat art style.
Right.
He draws in that, and he draws it really, really well. Huh. So we created a webcomic called Free Animal Magic that was that art style with very adult humor.
Nice.
And I wrote it, he drew it, and we did that for a while. Those were a lot of fun. We published a few books here and there of collected works of those series. I did a joke series with art that my wife drew this. She drew these caricatures of me and my friends, and I took them, I put them into Photoshop and Illustrator, and I made vectors out of them. And then I made a whole comic book series called Jonely Lonely out of it, which is just this ridiculousness way for me to. I was using it as a way to comment on society and comment on stupid things and make dumb jokes. And actually, I released 5 issues of that last year, and I have 5 more issues coming out probably late this year, next year of that one. But it's a whole humor-based life commentary series like that. I've done a couple of freelance stuff. I worked on this story for Hellcat Press last year with this author named David Thomas out of Wales, and we told a story in this book called Tales from the Public Domain. So that was fun. I just did the art for that. I didn't write anything. I just did art for that one. I've done a couple other like independent anthology stuff like that, but this Eynes Anthology is by far the biggest undertaking I've ever done with a comic book and with people.
All right. Sorry, I got distracted for a moment by notifications popping up on my phone.
Not a problem. Happens all the time.
Yeah. I was trying to think of some way to like shut all that off all at once on all my devices while I was doing this, and I thought, oh no, because then I won't be able to do this because
right,
it's all the same stuff. All right. I'm so sorry. I thought I had another question.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you'd think that with the extra 2 hours I wound up having, not being able to tell time, I would have been able to do some sort of preparation.
On our show, I never do. I always forget to do prep before any interview, any conversation. I was like, yeah, let's do it. I'll prep for that. Then when we get to the show, and I'm like, I didn't look anything up. I should have totally researched this person we're talking to, and I don't know crap.
Yeah, I haven't done too many interviews. Um, I did a handful of interviews at the FanX, the Salt Lake Comic Convention that we have in Salt Lake City here, and
Oh, cool.
yeah, at this last show in September, I didn't know who to interview, so I didn't have a chance to prep, and I just went in cold and got like 6 or 7 interviews, and yeah, so
At shows though, that's kind of fun because we do on Spoiler Country, we do con interviews, con shows, and we go to like San Diego and Rose City in Portland and Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle and other various ones around here in the Northwest. And we don't really do much prep before the interviews for those for the con shows. We kind of just like walk up to people who look interesting and ask them if they want to do an interview and kind of get to know them that way.
well,
That's ended up being kind of fun than actually prepping for something, at least in a con setting, because then it's like you're on a journey with them, discovering who each other are at the same time, and I kind of like
right.
it.
Yeah, I enjoy it. It's just normally I'm faster, but yeah, that's been
Yeah.
a tradition of ours now. Is usually on the last day of the FanX shows here, my friend and I will just walk the floor, and he'll interview just anyone who happens to walk past and stop long enough to talk. So
Nice, nice.
yeah, we get a lot of good conversations about gravy. That's been my friend's thing. He'll just stop
That's
someone and be
hilarious.
like, "Yeah, so who would you want to hug at this show? And what's your favorite gravy?" So, yeah, it's been fun.
It's good to have a fun question like that, to have to kind of break the ice or kind of, break the mold a little bit.
Right. Yeah, that
When
and
I was at the San Francisco Comic Con 2 years ago. I was interviewing people there for the podcast, and I ended up sitting down with this guy about his book, and we ended up talking, and then we talked for about 10 minutes. About 6 minutes into the conversation, it both dawned on us that we knew each other for the last like 10 years, but just hadn't actually met in person. Because we both worked on stuff like earlier, like 10 years ago, and we had both like we talked a ton online, but it didn't click to who we were. All of a sudden, like, oh my God, you're Evan. You're John. Yeah, and it was pretty funny on air to catch us realizing, oh God, we're friends.
uh, that does sound like fun. Usually my
Yeah,
friends,
that was
yeah, refuse to admit that they know me, so, you know.
aw.
Yeah, it's all right.
Well, at least we have friends, though. At least we have friends.
Yep. All right, well, yeah, I don't think I have anything else to really talk about. Again, it's just
Okay.
the stories that I've read have been great, and the art is spectacular in this book. And yeah, do you have anything you want to plug and the dates for release for this book and all that?
Sure, yeah. So the Kickstarter is going to starts going on. It started February 1st, and it's going to go for 30 days. So it'll end early March. Through the campaign, you can get the book, the hardcover copy, not hardcover, hard copy, which is just a soft cover. You can get a sketch cover. You can get original art from the book. You can get various other rewards we have, and you can stack them up if you want more things. Um, the all the money that's going into this is going straight to publishing, straight to printing. So every creator who's on the book, and there's 22 people involved in this first book, so every creator gets an allotment of books, so they can then take those books and sell them, or do what they want with them to make more money out of what they've already been paid for their portions. If you want to find more information about the book, you can go to eynesanthology.com, EYNES anthology.com, and we have a bunch of info on the stories that are in book one, as well as characters in the books and the stories, a synopsis for the book, so you can find out about more about each creator is in the book as well. And again, I thank you for having me on. I really appreciate that. Anybody who wants to go and back the book, I'd really appreciate it as well.
Yeah, thanks for doing this. This was great. And then you mentioned you have at least one other podcast. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Oh, sure, yeah. Let me. So I have my main podcast is called Spoiler Country, where my buddy Kendrick and I talk about comic books, movies, pop culture, things that interest us. It typically falls back to comic books because we're both big comic book fans, but we do have topics that aren't necessarily comic book related. We interview creators, we interview other podcasters, we interview other people that we like. We have a special series called the Kickstarter Student Boost, where once a month I bring on 2 to 4 people who have active comic book Kickstarters to help promote their books. So once a month we're promoting 2 to 4 books of other people's to help spread the love of indie comics. I have another podcast that I do called Haphazard Adventures. That one I started in '09 with my wife, and basically that's just my wife and I talking about whatever's on our mind. Recently, it's been a lot of concert reviews because we typically go to concerts and we take our Zoom recorder with us and record like pre and post thoughts of the concert. It's been kind of fun. And out of Spoiler Country, my main show, we have a YouTube channel called Drinks and Comics with Spoiler Country, where we make a drink, talk about what drink we're making, and review a comic book, a movie, or a TV show, or something in the comic book realm, and do that actually on YouTube for fun as well.
Yeah, I think I actually saw that. I can't remember if it was in one of the podcast groups on Facebook or if I saw it on YouTube, but that does sound familiar. I think I saw that someplace. So
yeah, that show's a lot of fun to do.
Yeah, I would probably enjoy that more, but I can't seem to get drunk. It just doesn't work for me. So.
Oh, we don't get drunk. We just have one drink and talk about the drink. I don't like to get drunk because getting drunk means I have a hangover tomorrow. I don't like that.
Yeah, I know.
I'm too old to get drunk.
Yeah. No, it's just, like, most drugs don't really work on me, I've noticed. So I don't get the same thrill from that most people do. And there are times I think I may be missing out, and other times I just don't care. So, but yeah.
Saves you money, though, right?
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, I think that will just about do it for me. And, yeah, thanks so much for this. This was great.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on. Appreciate it.
Yeah, and I'm excited to see the book come out. So. All right.
Monsters are everywhere. They always have been. They lurk, hidden in every shadow. Behind every dark thought. They are probably in your closet, possessing your friends. And they're almost certainly creeping behind you now. They are most often undetectable. And when they're not, it's too late. Throughout time, these monsters have feasted on society, both physically and metaphysically. The chaos they bring fuels a great dark spirit that seeks to end the world with pain and torment. The Eynes are our only hope. The Eynes family has been cursed since before recorded history to detect the presence of these monsters. It is their bound duty to stop these creatures from destroying humanity through any means necessary, be it by sword, spell, or other. Though the Eynes can feel when the creatures are in close proximity, the monsters themselves are also drawn toward the family. But not everything is as it seems. And although the war between the monsters and the Eynes has waged for centuries, the black and white battle lines have grayed over the years. Not all monsters may be considered evil. Not all Eynes are as righteous as one would think. These are the tales of the Eynes family. Visit EynesAnthology.com to find out more.